Hi friends, welcome back to my new channel. My name is Steph. I'm a Christian, a wife, a mother of two lovely little girls, and I recently started this YouTube channel for the purpose of encouraging other like-minded mothers, women, wives in the vocation of homemaking. So please grab your favourite drink and stick around while we chat about all things homemaking today. This past week has felt really like we're getting into the full swing of full-blown fall now. It's definitely getting a lot cooler and crisper, and the leaves are just all the most wonderful, amazing colours. And with that has come the darker nights, the shorter evenings, and the need to wrap up warm and cozy. And that can be hard for people at this time of year, as we're kind of mourning the loss of summer and that nice warm weather, and even that sort of pulling into September and still having that nice sunny spell. And so it made me think just how valuable the role of a homemaker is, because we get to be the ones to bring life and beauty into our homes, and we can do that through our homemaking, and we can adjust it so that it's going with the season. So embracing the seasonal change and bringing in, whether it's fall decor or fall smells or fall food or drinks, and just really embracing all things fall so that it just cheers everyone up and brings warmth to their hearts. Also, side note, it's so funny that I'm using the word fall, because in Northern Ireland that's not really a word that we would use. We would talk about autumn, but yeah, I'm just loving everything fall here in America. It's so cool seeing this season here. I've never had this experience of America at this time of year before. I've only ever been to America maybe in the summer or the winter. And so it's incredible seeing all the different trees and leaves, and I'm just amazed by God's beauty in all of the creation. But this role that we have as homemakers of bringing in the beauty and nearly the light, in injecting light and positivity and that warmth into our homes, even in the darker seasons, is something that makes me think actually about my devotional earlier today, which was talking about the joy of the Lord being our strength. And I think sometimes it's very easy to get just bogged down. That's what my devotional, I love it, by the way, I really recommend. It's a Sally Clarkson one. It's called Mom Heart Moments, and it's so good. I'm actually on the second year through the same one, which I supplement then with just my regular Bible reading. But I have found it to be so life-giving, because it's just like mom to mom. She totally gets it, and I love the way she writes. So I'll actually read out what she said here, where she said, "Yet most people I know, including me, so much of the time live as though their feet are tied to the ground by heavy loads of duty, works, guilt, worry, comparison, inadequacy, boredom, etc., etc. God did not create us to live in such a way. He came to give life, and life more abundant. The joy of the Lord is to be our strength. What have the voices of this world done to our joy?" And this sort of ties into what I was talking about last week, about that having that stance and posture of, like, no matter what's going on in our day, no matter how hard and how unseen sometimes we feel when we are serving God in our daily homemaking, in our mothering, and it feels like drudgery sometimes. And it's just so encouraging to know that God sees you, that you're doing precious, sacred work. And I think that's where it can feel like drudgery, when we start to believe the lie that it's not important, that it doesn't matter, that it's just monotonous. And yes, the tasks can be very repetitive, of course, but it's in that there is something beautiful, because we are serving our homes, our families, our husbands, our children, our loved ones, the people that God has blessed us with, are most precious, and we get to love in this way. And last week I was talking about worship and having that posture of worship before the Lord and praising him. And I think that even having the joy of the Lord as our strength is just such a game changer. Whenever we shift our mindset and we change our perspective, it changes everything. So whenever we see an interruption as part of God's ordained plan for our day, and saying, in this moment, in this interruption, Lord, I choose to worship you, and I choose to thank you for whatever this may be that's right in front of me that is more important than the thing that I was just doing, because it is requiring my attention now, and this is what you would have me do. And that we can pray that we would be faithful in that. Also, I'm making pumpkin spice pancakes here, in case anybody was wondering. They turned out really yummy and were much enjoyed by all. Sometimes in the monotony too of homemaking, a nice way to jazz things up is trying a new recipe. Like, I had never made these pancakes before, but sometimes just incorporating something like this seasonal food is just something really fun and interesting to try and learn, and even have little ones helping too. C.S. Lewis actually shares this quote. He says, "Homemaking is surely in reality the most important work in the world. What do ships, railways, mines, cars, government, etc. exist for, except that people may be fed, warmed and safe in their own homes? The homemaker's job is one for which all others exist." Now, I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole of arguing what job's the most important, but I do find that quote very encouraging and actually really interesting when you do think about all the other things that jobs exist for, and that there is obviously an importance placed on the home. It is the dwelling place that we all reside in. And I think the enemy would love to take us out of the home. I think he would love to destroy the Christian family, marriages, and the home, a good, strong Christian foundation where children could grow up in the fear and admonition of the Lord. And one of the tactics could be getting us all out of the homes and getting us all busy with all of our own individual things, that we don't have time to spend in our homes together with one another, fellowshipping together over dinner and over different meals. And so that is just some food for thought as well, that I think we can make ourselves so busy that we miss out on what we could be doing. Every yes to something outside the home is a no to something inside the home. And that's not to say that we shouldn't ever go out or shouldn't ever do anything. But why do we all need to go out and do our own thing? Why does it have to be that way? I think even with women and this push for career, that we actually are told that we need to go and find something fulfilling, because we're not going to be fulfilled in caring for the people that God has given us. And that's a total lie from the enemy. And yet ultimately nothing on this earth will ever satisfy that deep craving of our souls that only the Lord can satisfy. The mind as well is such a incredible thing. So where I'm going with this is, I've been thinking recently about how in our days as homemakers, it totally depends on us how the day goes in many ways. Like, yes, there's things, external factors that are outside of our control, of course, but our response we can control, and our mood we can control. And yes, our hormones change. We are women and we have peaks and troughs, fluctuations, and sometimes we might not feel like doing something, and sometimes we might, depending on our energy levels. But we can take all those feelings and submit them to Christ. And even when we feel like even when we don't feel like doing something, we can say, you know what, Lord, help me just to, like Elizabeth Elliot would say, just do the next right thing. And what a wonderful light, what an example for those around us to see that light shining out of us. And I don't know about you, but I have found that whenever, and I've heard this phrase, when mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy, or something along the lines of that. And I mean, I think there's probably a lot of truth in the sense that all our children need is us to be happy, and they will be secure, and they want to see us happy in ourselves. And that even includes the moment where they might be really testing us and pushing our buttons, and that's where we pray and ask the Lord for self-control and for such wisdom and discernment to know how to handle these situations in a way that honours Him and is loving towards our children. Sometimes whenever I don't know where to turn and I'm doing a Bible reading or want to do a Bible reading, I'll just pray through the Psalms. I find them sometimes really encouraging, and just if I'm sort of struggling as to where to ground myself, I'll go there. And I actually was reading Psalm 16 the other day, and it's very relevant to this, as I'll read out verses 5 to 11. So it says, "Lord, you are my portion and my cup of blessing. You hold my future. The boundary lines have fallen for me in pleasant places. Indeed, I have a beautiful inheritance. I will bless the Lord who counsels me. Even at night when my thoughts trouble me, I always let the Lord guide me. Because he is at my right hand, I will not be shaken. Therefore my heart is glad and my whole being rejoices. My body also rests securely. For you will not abandon me to Sheol. You will not allow your faithful one to see decay. You reveal the path of life to me. In your presence is abundant joy. At your right hand are eternal pleasures." And I just think that scripture is so helpful for what I'm trying to say about cultivating that joy and finding, our joy in the Lord. And it literally says that in that last verse, "You reveal the path of life to me. In your presence is abundant joy. At your right hand are eternal pleasures." And sometimes I think we're so caught up in the here and now, in the momentary pleasures of this world. Even as Christians, we're tempted to those momentary pleasures, and actually it's in eternity whenever we have our hearts and minds focused not on what is seen but what is unseen, on the invisible realm, the spiritual world, and focusing our spirit in God and saying, "In his presence is abundant joy, and I dwell to live in his presence." Which also brings to mind another psalm that I had read earlier was Psalm 27. "I have asked one thing from the Lord. It is what I desire, to dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, gazing on the beauty of the Lord and seeking him in his temple. For he will conceal me in his shelter in the day of adversity. He will hide me under the cover of his tent. He will set me high on a rock. Then my head will be high above my enemies around me. I will offer sacrifices in his tent. With shouts of joy, I will sing and make music to the Lord." And again, that's just a call to worship, no matter what is going on in any of our circumstances, external, internal, anything that is going on in our lives right now. Regardless, we can say, "I will sing and make music to the Lord. I want to gaze on the beauty of the Lord and seek him in his temple. I want to dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life." Also, this is a pumpkin spice latte, which I have been enjoying as a wee nap time treat whenever I get the chance just to sit down for 10 minutes and have a coffee and maybe read something or watch something. And I really recommend trying out. It's not that hard to do and was really, really yum. Again, that's just another little example of how we can bring fall into our homes, because this time of year, if you went into like your favourite coffee shop, they would offer any of these types of autumnal drinks, and it's just so nice to have at your fingertips after a hard-earned time of homemaking. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope it was encouraging. Please like and subscribe to help this small channel grow, and I'll see you next time. Bye!